Falling in love, eloping, and getting married is a dream for many teenage girls, and Caroline Crouch was no exception. At just 15 years old, she was charmed by a wealthy 27-year-old pilot who flew his helicopter over her school, capturing her heart. The two eloped and tied the knot, creating what appeared to be a picture-perfect fairy tale. However, this seemingly ideal love story would soon unravel into a shocking murder that deceived the world. On Tuesday, May 11, 2021, at 4:30 a.m., a man named Haralambos Anagnostopoulos, also known as Barbis, was jolted awake by a horrifying event. At the time, he and his wife were living in a two-story maisonette in Glykanira, a suburban area on the outskirts of Athens, Greece. Barbis had little time to react as three masked intruders burst in, armed with pistols. They overpowered him, tied him up, and blindfolded him with duct tape. The attackers then turned their attention to his wife, 19-year-old Caroline Crouch, waking their 11-month-old daughter, who was sleeping nearby. Speaking in Greek and Albanian accents, the intruders repeatedly demanded money. What began as a robbery quickly escalated into tragedy, leading to Caroline's murder. Caroline Crouch was born on July 12, 2001, in Athens, to David Crouch, a retired engineer, and Susan de la Costa. At the age of 8, her family relocated to the island of Alonissos, drawn by its coastal beauty. Growing up, Caroline embraced her seaside surroundings and developed a love for swimming and scuba diving. Wouldn't you like to subscribe to stay tuned to more interesting true crimes like this as you enjoy the documentary? She met Barbis in 2017 during a Good Friday parade when she was just 15 and he was a commercial helicopter pilot. 3 years later, on July 15, 2019, the couple married in Portugal. Days before her murder, Caroline and Barbis had purchased a plot of land to build their dream home for themselves and their baby daughter. Caroline's parents gifted her $1.00 for the purchase, while the couple had an additional $1.0000 hidden in their home for construction costs. At the time, many Greeks avoided banks due to the country's financial instability, preferring to keep cash at home as a safer alternative. Caroline likely shared the common view of keeping cash at home for safety and couldn't have foreseen the horror that would unfold on May 11th. In a desperate attempt to protect his family and end their torment, Barbis revealed the hidden location of their money, a spot no one would expect. The intruders retrieved the cash from a Monopoly board game box where the couple had stored their savings for their dream house. But the ordeal didn't end there. The intruders roamed the house, gathering jewelry and other valuable items. Despite Barbis and Caroline having surrendered all they had, the intruders weren't satisfied. Fear gripped the family as Barbis and Caroline begged for their lives and the safety of their infant daughter. Amid the chaos, Barbis could hear his wife's desperate screams as one of the intruders held a firearm near their baby. Though blindfolded and bound, Barbis struggled against his restraints, but the rope around his neck was tightened so severely that he repeatedly slipped in and out of consciousness. Eventually, he passed out entirely, only regaining his senses much later. When Barbis regained consciousness, he realized the intruders had left. The only sound filling the house was the heart-wrenching cries of his infant daughter. Struggling against his bindings, he managed to inch his way to his mobile phone. Using his nose, he dialed emergency services. Muffled by the duct tape over his mouth, he pleaded for help, providing his location and repeatedly uttering, "Robbers came in." Approximately 90 minutes had passed since the break-in when first responders arrived at the scene around 6 a.m. What they encountered was a nightmare. The living room and kitchen were in shambles, drawers emptied, and belongings strewn across the house. Among the debris was an open Monopoly box where the couple's money had been hidden. A security camera lay disconnected on the couch, its memory card conspicuously missing. On the staircase, the responders discovered the lifeless body of a white and brown husky puppy, cruelly strangled with its own leash. In the main bedroom, they found Barbis on the floor, his eyes and mouth covered with duct tape and his hands and feet tightly bound. On the bed lay Caroline Crouch, face down and motionless. Beside her, their infant daughter cried and clapped, trying in vain to wake her mother. Caroline was pronounced dead at the scene, while her distressed infant daughter was thankfully unharmed. First responders immediately noticed Caroline's pale complexion and determined she had been murdered. When Barbis was freed from his restraints and saw his wife's lifeless body, he appeared to go into shock, devastated by the loss of the woman he had loved for the past 5 years. Authorities prioritized the safety of the infant and began questioning Barbis. Based on his account and the crime scene evidence, the presence of 4 intruders was inferred. 3 entered the house while 1 kept watch outside. Police reconstructed the sequence of events as follows. The intruders approached the house from a dirt road leading to the rear entrance. Unable to break in through the rear door, they removed the security pins from a basement window to gain access. Once inside, they killed the family's 7-month-old husky, Roxy, using her own leash. The intruders entered the main bedroom, where Barbis and Caroline were asleep. After ransacking the house, they took the 100,000 cash from the Monopoly box, along with jewelry worth 0.10 cash 0. Before leaving, they smothered Caroline with a pillow, killing her. Assuming Barbis was dead after he drifted in and out of consciousness, they fled, believing they left no witnesses. Caroline's death was not instantaneous. She suffered for approximately 6 minutes. Bruises on her body indicated resistance, and additional injuries on her lips and tongue suggested the possible use of sharp objects. However, no evidence of sexual assault was found. Despite the extensive damage to the house, the intruders left behind little concrete evidence. The only clue was a hood, believed to have fallen off one of the men during a struggle with Barbis. Based on Barbis's description, police created a sketch of a tall, dark-skinned, overweight individual. Barbis also identified 2 firearms used during the attack, a black pistol and a silver Colt. The intruders escaped with 1,000,000 in cash and EUR 200,000 worth of jewelry. Police speculated this was the work of professional criminals who had studied the family's movements and waited for the right opportunity. A police spokesperson described the attack as brutal and violent, carried out by individuals with a strong antisocial personality and a lack of empathy. As investigators delved deeper, several questions arose. If money was the primary motive, why was murder necessary? Theories emerged, such as the intruders being under the influence of drugs, Caroline recognizing one of them, or her black belt in kickboxing, causing them to view her as a threat. Others suggested Caroline may have screamed when her infant was threatened, prompting the intruders to silence her. Despite these speculations, police were certain the attack was premeditated, as the intruders clearly knew the couple had cash hidden in their home. This led investigators to believe the gang had been tipped off, prompting them to question individuals within Barbis and Caroline's inner circle. 1. Alongside these interrogations, investigators analyzed security camera footage from nearby homes and businesses. They spotted a dark-colored vehicle and a motorcycle circling the couple's house on the morning of the murder, raising further suspicions. Caroline Crouch was buried 3 days after the tragic incident on the Greek island of Alonissos, where she had grown up and where her parents had fallen in love with the coastal surroundings. At her funeral, Barbis paid an emotional tribute to his wife, expressing his gratitude for having known and loved her. He shared that their daughter would grow up without memories of her mother, but promised Caroline would always be present in their lives through their child. During a routine vehicle stop in northeastern Greece, a 36-year-old Georgian national named Georgi Karalashvili was apprehended on his way to the Bulgarian border. When he presented a fake passport, authorities identified him as a violent criminal with multiple prior convictions, including 12 break-ins across Athens in the last 6 months. The arrest seemed significant because 3 of those break-ins occurred near Barbis and Caroline's neighborhood. One such incident, in December, involved a home invasion through a rear window, during which the culprits dragged a female occupant by her hair and threatened to slit her throat. The stolen loot matched the pattern of the Crouch case: cash and jewelry worth €100 and zero, as well as being dropped off by the car and threatened to slit her throat, zero. Additionally, Georgie bore a striking resemblance to the sketch Babis had provided of one of the intruders. With his history of violent crimes, attempted flight, and physical similarity to the suspect, Georgie seemed like a key figure. Under intense interrogation over 4 days, including the use of physical coercion, Georgie consistently denied any involvement in Caroline's murder. Investigators ultimately found no evidence tying him to the crime. As a result, Georgie was cleared of suspicion, and 3 police officers from the Athens homicide squad were demoted for their mishandling of the case. The investigation shifted focus to a local Albanian organized crime group. Initially, a list of 100 suspects was narrowed down to 10 individuals, all known criminals. Their mugshots were shown to Babis, but no conclusive link was established. As the case dragged on, the lack of progress frustrated the public, and fear gripped Athens. Speculations swirled, with many attributing the delay to the sophisticated nature of the crime. Reports indicated no DNA or fingerprints were recovered from the scene, leaving investigators with few leads. Despite the mounting challenges, Babis continued to support the investigation, appearing in the media and engaging on social media to keep the case in the spotlight. On June 17, 2021, 7 days after Caroline's murder, a breakthrough occurred. During a small memorial service on Alonissos, detectives discreetly approached Babis and asked him to accompany them to Athens. They had uncovered new information that raised critical questions about the events of that fateful night, which no longer seemed to align with the story Babis had told. The police investigation into Caroline Crouch's death revealed a chilling narrative that contradicted Babis's initial account. Entry point discrepancies. Babis claimed the intruders entered through the basement window. However, investigators determined that the window was far too small for the described physique of the alleged assailants. Silent night. Neighbors reported hearing only the distressed cries of the couple's puppy that night. No sounds of a trashed house, calls for help, or a crying infant were heard, raising doubts about Babis's claims of a violent home invasion. Security camera data. Babis stated the intruders removed the memory card from the living room camera during the break-in. Forensic data revealed the card had been removed at 1:20 a.m. hours before the supposed invasion occurred. Not Caroline's smartwatch. Data from Caroline's smartwatch showed a sudden spike in her heart rate at 4:05 a.m., followed by a cessation of activity at 4:11 a.m., indicating her death occurred earlier than Babis had claimed. 186 people died due to her affiliation. Babis's fitness tracker. His fitness app revealed movement during the time he alleged he was bound and unconscious, further undermining his narrative. Emergency call feasibility. Investigators tested whether someone could dial emergency services with their nose under similar conditions. None of the reenactments succeeded, casting further suspicion. Investigations revealed Caroline was planning to leave Babis. Hotel booking. She had attempted to book a hotel for herself and her daughter on the night of her death. Messages to friends. Texts revealed Caroline's distress and her intent to escape the marriage. Babis and Caroline's relationship, though outwardly idyllic, had a darker reality: control and isolation. Babis exhibited manipulative behavior from early in their marriage. The couple's elopement, seemingly romantic, was in hindsight an effort to isolate Caroline from her family and friends. Financial control. As Caroline was a student with limited financial independence, Babis controlled their finances, even taking money her mother sent for her. Entries from Caroline's diary painted a vivid picture of her emotional struggles. He wrote of frequent arguments with Babis and her doubts about their relationship. In 2019, she expressed a desire to leave, mentioning a serious fight that made her consider moving to her sister's. The investigation reached a critical turning point when detectives confronted Babis with the inconsistencies. With mounting evidence against him, Babis's facade began to crack, and a far more sinister truth loomed on the horizon. Subscribing allows you to be on top of future interesting documentaries like this one. The tragic story of Caroline Crouch's murder not only shattered the illusion of a perfect family, but also revealed a chilling narrative of domestic abuse, manipulation, and premeditated violence. End of section 28. Death by Fire. Caroline's diary provided heartbreaking insight into her internal struggles. Unconditional love amid pain. Caroline wrote, "I love Babis so much that I can't leave him even though this relationship hurts me." The baby as a deciding factor. She admitted staying in the toxic relationship for her daughter's sake, writing, "I stayed with him so my daughter would not grow up without her two parents." Plans to leave. In July 2020, a month after giving birth, Caroline wrote, "Today my little one is a month old. It's also the day I told Babis I want to leave. I feel awful." These entries underscored the deep sense of entrapment and despair Caroline felt, torn between her love for her child and the abusive environment created by Babis. On the night of May 10, 2021, the couple had a heated argument, as revealed by phone records of combative texts. According to Babis's later confession, the argument escalated. Caroline allegedly told Babis to leave and threw their infant daughter into the cot. Babis claimed this act triggered his rage. The murdered Babis admitted to smothering Caroline with a pillow, using his full body weight until her smartwatch indicated her heart had stopped. After killing Caroline, Babis meticulously staged a fake home invasion. The family dog, he killed Roxy, the couple's dog, to make the scene more convincing, self-dying and faking evidence. Babis tied himself up, scattered items to simulate a break-in, and fabricated a narrative of intruders murdering his wife. The baby as a pawn, he placed their infant daughter next to Caroline's lifeless body, adding another layer of horror to his deception. 37 days, Babis maintained his facade, garnering sympathy from the public and Caroline's family. However, mounting evidence unraveled his lies. Digital evidence. The smartwatch data and discrepancies in his own fitness tracker were pivotal. Behavior under scrutiny, his calm demeanor during public appearances, and inconsistencies in his statements further aroused suspicion. Under pressure, Babis eventually confessed, though he attempted to justify his actions by blaming Caroline for his loss of control. In May 2022, Babis was convicted of premeditated murder, perverting the course of justice, animal abuse. He received a life sentence, bringing some closure to Caroline's grieving family and the public. However, the case, dubbed the murder that fooled the world, served as a grim reminder of the dangers of domestic abuse hidden behind a veneer of perfection. Caroline's murder highlighted the urgent need for greater awareness and intervention in cases of domestic violence. More robust support systems for individuals trapped in abusive relationships. The couple's daughter, now growing up without her mother and under a cloud of her father's actions, stands as a poignant symbol of the enduring consequences of violence and deceit. Like, share, comment, and also subscribe to the channel to be notified of new video updates. Have a wonderful rest of your day.